Hi, it's Darnell with Wheel Recipes, and this is my 30-day review of the Foodi FlexBasket Air Fryer. And if you've not already seen it, please do see the initial review. If you're looking for a review where cooks are done, where measurements are taken, where side-by-sides with other cookers are shown, where temperature testing is done, and all of that stuff, if you're wondering tips for cleaning or other things like that, check out the initial review. The way I do things here on this channel is after 30 days of using the cooker, I do a follow-up where I talk about my thoughts, impressions, and things of that nature with the cooker. But all the work that many expect in a review is done in the initial review. And that's also here on this channel, along with well over 70 other cooker reviews, over 800 other videos here on the channel, doing all types of things with different countertop cookers and even outdoor grill, small outdoor grill. So basically my initial thoughts, impressions regarding this cooker are that generally speaking it's a decent basket air fryer, but there's some things that you need to know about it that I'm going to be discussing here in this review, so stay tuned. So when it comes to the heat level of this cooker, when you're cooking with just one side, it's much hotter overall than when you're doing two sides or when you're using like the MegaZone. It seems like things cook faster on just one side if you're cooking just one side than if you're doing two, but if you're doing the MegaZone, it seems to work a little better than if you're doing two with the divider. And I wanted to look a bit more deeply into why this happens, and so I did some in-depth temperature testing beyond what I did in the initial review, and so I want to share that with you now. Okay, so in order to do a proper test of both zones, I've got separate cooking thermometers, oven thermometers in each of the baskets with the divider there to basically divide the sides. I'm trying to put them, I guess I better put them as close to the exact same position as possible. So we got two thermometers there to do a proper measurement on both sides simultaneously. Exact same oven thermometers, exact same brand, they're all should be good to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn things on, and I'm going to go ahead and use air fry, and I'm going to let it run for just, well, we'll do 20 minutes, or I could do 10, we'll do 20. So we'll do a match cook so that it's doing both sides 420 minutes, and we'll see how things look after 20 minutes of runtime. So hitting start, and I'll bring you back in 20 minutes and we'll see how things look. Alright, so the 20 minutes is about to end. I did hear one of them fall down during the run, so I'm going to go ahead and open up before the cool down is done. And this one is up to almost 450. Well, it didn't fall down, I guess it moved around. And this one is almost 452. So, let's see how close they are. They're pretty close. They're both pretty close after 20 minutes. So, I'm going to let it just go ahead and finish its cool down and then it'll shut off. But 20 minutes at 400, and they both did pretty well. I guess I should have hit pause, but both were a little over 400. And they both were over 400, near 450 almost. Okay, so things have totally cooled down. I've removed the divider, got my two oven temp thermometers in there, and I'm going to, this time, we're going to test the MegaZone. I'm going to do 420 minutes again, like I said. No matter what option I use, there's some fan, so the oven thermometers can get blown around. Lord willing, they won't get knocked over into each other or anything like that. But hitting start, we'll let that run, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so another 20 minutes is done. So I'm just going to go ahead and see where things are. Got one around 450. Got another one around 450. I mean, it's just about empty on that side. Yeah, I think both of them are pretty close. Maybe the one on the left was maybe a few degrees shorter than the one on the right, but both were right around 450 after 20 minutes that way. Okay, so now I've let things completely cool down again. I've got the divider in, and this time we're going to just try one side instead of both sides and see what happens. So I'm going to go over here on zone 1 side up to 400, 20 minutes, hit start. We'll let that run. We'll see what happens this way. Even though it was done in the initial review, we'll see what happens this time since we got something to actually measure the opposite side. Alright, and after 20 more minutes, we'll see how things are going. So we see this side is at 450. I mean, it may be a few degrees more than usual. But we see the side where things were totally off, you know, nothing was running on this side, it's up to 250. So the side that was not used at all, 250. The side that was used, just about 450, just nearly 450. So there you go. When you're using one side, you're really kind of using two sides, but in all those tests, we still got around that 450-ish range. Okay, so things are all cooled down again. I want to try a little something else here with the testing now. I'm going to try a short run test and see how that does. So at 400, just using zone 1 here, I'm going to do 5 minutes and see how things look, and we'll do some 5-minute time testing. So we'll let that go for 5 and I'll bring you right back. Alright, 5 minutes and let's see what's happening. Alright, this thing is about 450-ish. Nearly 450. The other one's at 150. So in just 5 minutes we got near 450. Again. Okay, after allowing things to cool down again, I want to do a 5-minute run on both sides, doing like a match cook, and see how things do with that. So match cook 400, 5 minutes, and we'll see how things do on both sides with a short run. So hitting start here, and we'll see how things do in 5. Alright, so 5 minutes, and let's see. Oh, look at that. It's like 350. 350. Look at that. Like 100, almost 100 degrees difference. So that's where we're getting our difference. When you do two-side cooks, things aren't getting up to the temperature as quickly. They eventually get there, but slower, and that's why it takes longer. So that's what's happening here. Alright, so one final test now, just to wrap things up. Remove the divider so we can try this with the MegaZone, see if we see the same results. So got it closed up well, turning things on, clicking on the MegaZone, going up to 400, and we'll do 5 minutes again. We'll see if things end the same as they did with the dual cook for 5 minutes. So we'll see what's up. Alright, so let's see how things turned out this time. And here we are at about 350 again, both of them just a little above 350. So we're getting the same result. When it's a short run, things just don't get as hot on both sides as they do on one side. If you're doing just one side, short run, things get hot quicker than they do trying to do both together. When you do both, it takes a while longer for things to get up to temp, and so that's why you don't get that performance when you're doing both sides like you do with one. And so now we've been able to see it through temperature after doing some various temperature testing. So I hope that that helps everyone to better understand what's going on as far as the temperature and cooking with different sides and such. But I wanted to mention that the cooker after cooks, it doesn't stay hot for very long after cooks, like compared to the Ninja Combi or the Ninja Speedy, which stay really warm well after a cook. This one, after a cook, it starts to cool down a bit, so you'd want to use something like its keep warm function if you really need something to stay warm for an extended period of time. Now, the cooker has a 1 minute cool down. After you do a cook, it goes to cool, and the display shows the word cool, and it runs for 1 minute cooling things down. I've not noticed a difference in the degree of cook on food if it was removed before or after that cool down, so I usually just left things in during that cool down till it fully finished and stopped cooking at all, or stopped, fan running or anything at all. But you do want to keep in mind, after any cook that you do or any function that you use, there is a 1 minute cool down run at the end of that. And the noise level for the cooker is a little loud. I did full sound testing in the initial review, but it's a basket air fryer and it's a bit audible. It does come down a bit on that noise when you're using functions like bake, but it still runs a fan. But air fry especially is louder than something like bake. But with bake, you'd hear it like start up loud at first, and then it kind of trends down a little bit. But see the initial review where I did the specific sound decibel testing to show you in actual decibels how loud things get. The user interface is not hard to learn, but it takes some time to get used to the user interface. And I do detail how the user interface works in the initial review. Once you get the hang of it, it's not bad. In the initial review, I was having a little difficulty if I wanted to use just side 2. It seems like after I used it for a while, I didn't have any issues if I just wanted to use side 2 instead of side 1. Just seems like it took me some time to just get used to using it. But I think after you use it for a little bit, you'll have no problems at all. It just takes a moment to understand how to use things, even though I've used plenty of cookers before. Now, the cooker has no smoke issues. I didn't have any problems with smoke at all. And I want to talk about the different functions that I used on the cooker. As far as air fry works well, especially, as I said, if you're just using one side, and two sides needs just a little more time. Two sides can work, but needs a little more time. MegaZone works well, but of course needs a little more time like two sides. But MegaZone, as I showed in the initial review, you can cook like a whole chicken in a decent amount of time. Even though it was like maybe a 3.5 pound chicken, but still, it was able to do it in a decent amount of time. Roast works well. I've had no issues at all with roast. It does a good job. Bake overcooks the tops of foods, like all air fry basket air fryers do with bake. All basket air fryers seem to overcook the top. The only downside with this one is that I couldn't take the air fry racks out and kind of like balance them just kind of over top of things, over top of the food that I was cooking, because it's kind of like these air fry racks kind of fall straight down. They don't kind of hover over the top. They aren't like hard to push in, so you can't like just hover them over the top of something you're trying to bake and have the air fry rack guard the top. So it overcooks the tops of things when baking. And basically when you use the bottom though, if you took the air fry racks out, you could use the flat bottom as kind of like a cookie tray, and I would bake cookies that way on it. But they still were getting overcooked on the top regardless, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to do something like a cake, like I use like some small ramekin to cook like little cakes in it, the tops are going to get overcooked, and they did. But what you can do in that case, if you're like baking cakes in it, you can flip them out onto the opposite side after they're cooked. And of course that opposite side that you flip out is not going to be overcooked. Things will be a little overcooked on the bottom. Nothing tasted burnt from that, but still noticeably overcooked, not the most presentable, I'll put it that way, to others. as far as that's concerned. And if you're going to use the cooker for baking, I do recommend using like parchment paper if you're doing like cookies or you're doing like rolls or anything of that sort. Now, one interesting thing is that it worked better for baking rolls when I bake rolls in it from scratch than it did with baking cookies or cakes. Cookies or cakes really got overcooked on the tops, like pretty much black on the top or near black on the top. But when I did rolls, the rolls, they were a dark golden brown. They were a darker golden brown than I would get some other cookies, but they weren't like black on top. So it was interesting that it did rolls a little better than it did cakes or cookies as far as baking. I did use the proof function. I made some donuts and some rolls from scratch using it and using the proof function. And my results varied with proof. When I did the rolls, things didn't come up very big at all during proof. But when I did the donuts, things proofed really big when I did those. And I was using the same set of dough in 2 different cookers, but it just seemed to work out better for donuts than it did for rolls. But ultimately, when I got through the bake stage of both, they both turned out very nice regardless. So it was able to do proofing, able to do baking, and it seemed like stuff that I did a proof and bake on turned out better, and as I mentioned, less burnt over top or less darkened over top than if I was doing like cake or cookies. The reheat function works well. I don't use a microwave for anything, and so using this for all my reheat needs worked out nicely. Dehydrate I did not use, and I didn't use the keep warm function, but as I said, if you need something to stay warm for an extended period of time, definitely want to use the keep warm function, because unlike some other cookers, it's going to start cooling down in there a little while after the cook. Now, as far as cleaning the cooker, I told details of how to do that in the initial review, but the 11-quart basket makes cleaning a little bit complicated. So, like, because the basket is so big, it's like, you know, usually with a smaller basket air fryer, you can kind of get that basket out and put it into your sink, whereas this 11-quart basket is so big, you can't really even fit it into the sink. So it's like, you would want to have one of those little sprayer wands that you can use to kind of hold it over the sink and spray in there and wipe and spray. If you're just trying to manipulate it over a faucet or into a faucet, I think it's going to be a bit more difficult to do. I wouldn't want to have to do that. If you've got a sprayer, good. If you don't, expect a little trouble. And so I'm just going to show you the inside of things so that you get an idea of how things look inside. Here you go. No problems at all. I mean, it's a non-stick surface, so, you know, although chemicals on there, it's not sticking. Up there on the top, everything is cool. A lot of people get worried about things flying up and getting into the heating elements. I don't see that happening a lot from cookers that are like basket air fryers. Usually with the fan blowing hot air down, you're not going to get much going up into the heating coils. And if you do, it'll burn off anyway. Don't worry about it. Now I'm going to compare with some other cookers that I've used, and I'm just going to talk about a few. If I don't talk about one that you are interested in, then please see the other reviews here on the channel and make your own decisions based on that. But I want to talk about the Ninja 10-quart dual basket air fryer versus this Ninja FlexBasket. I will say that I personally prefer how the dedicated 10-quart dual basket air fryer doesn't allow as much heat to carry over to the other side. So I like that. And the 10-quart is big enough to be able to fit some of my ramekins and stuff in and do what I need to do. So between the two of these, between this and the 10-quart, I prefer the 10-quart Ninja Foodi 2 basket air fryer to the FlexBasket. Even though FlexBasket is nice, the MegaZone's nice, and depending on your needs, you know, either one can do jobs pretty decent. But this versus the Bella 8-quart 2 basket air fryer. The Bella 8-quart 2 basket air fryer, if you remember, is able to do 2 sides at the same time and cook just as fast. There's no like depreciation in quality or speed of cooks when cooking on 2 sides at once with the Bella 2 basket air fryer. but the baskets are smaller. So being smaller cooker, like with 8 quarts. So I do prefer that this FlexBasket is an 11 quart cooker, 2 5.5 quart baskets. So between the two, between the Bella, even though it can keep temperature better for 2 sides, in my opinion, than this, I'd still go with this between the two of them just because it's larger than the Bella by a noticeable margin. The last cooker that I want to compare this Ninja FlexBasket to is the Ninja Combi multi-cooker oven and air fryer, which is my present champ of all cookers. And it's really no contest. The Ninja Combi wins by far. It's just way better. It's just the champ of cookers and able to do a lot more. And being able to hold the temperature for a long time after cooks, I like that, because the Combi is able to keep temperature warm so long after cooks. I can literally put refrigerator cold food into the just used Ninja Combi and it'll warm it up without me running anything because it's still so hot inside. So Ninja Combi remains the champ, but the Ninja FlexBasket is a nice 2-basket air fryer. I mean, it's been on sale for a good bit, especially at Costco for this 11 quart MegaZone version. It's a good deal, especially if you go in the store, you can get it for even less. It's a good deal. So I think, if you can get it on sale, no problem. I think it's well worth it. Definitely a good deal. I think even if it was selling at full price, it's still not, in my opinion, it's not a rip-off at its full price. But if you can get it for a nice deal, then cool. So, pretty decent basket air fryer. It's got its pros and cons, but all that's up to you. But nothing in this video is sponsored, nothing given to me. I like to operate on my own apart from all these companies. So, in the video description are lots of ways for you to help the channel, such as my cookbook, merch, membership, donations, link to the Amazon shop where you pay the same price, help the channel. Also, buy me a coffee link. Also, you can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. Again, that's superwaveovenrecipes.com. And so, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments, share the video with a friend. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification icon, and good eating.